The views and opinions expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of this station or its sponsors. Warning! This program contains strong adult language, violence, and brief nudity. It's everything you're looking for.
Welcome to Whispers, everyone, on AM 1600 WKKX, the Valley's Watchdog. It is 8:07 p.m., about 60 degrees here in downtown Wheeling. This is Jordan Klein with Nick Queen, Eric Violet, and Lola Miller there in the studio, and I'm broadcasting way out here in Ohio State University, actually a Holiday Inn. I'm venturing wide out. I'll tell you what.
Wait a minute, what color are you?
I'm red.
Oh my gosh, you keep changing.
Lost Nick.
You keep changing microphones every week.
I'm so sorry.
Oh.
I will become consistent, and I will go on red from now on.
All right, that's a deal.
So Jordan, radio history, broadcasting from a Holiday Inn. Probably never been done before.
I haven't been more excited, Nick.
Yeah, you really sound like it.
You got a pool there?
What's better than what he said he was going to do? He said he was going to go to the bathroom at the Ohio State University Medical Center and broadcast from there.
You got to find a quiet space somewhere.
Yeah, but that's kind of
Every now and
echoey.
then, yeah, and we'll have a flush every now and then.
Either that or you might get somebody next to you that's got a little grunting action going. It'll be picked up.
Just watch those feet underneath the stalls, that's all.
It makes for a good story, though, right?
They'll think you're a senator. You got to be careful.
All right. I want to give a quick update on my dad.
Yes.
For those of you who don't know, my dad has spent the day having open heart surgery, had an aortic valve replacement and a triple bypass and an aneurysm cut off. So he is alive and well. He is still asleep at the moment, but the surgery and everything went really good. So everybody out there that's been praying for my family, I really, really appreciate it, and prayer works.
Awesome.
Very good. So now, I also wanted to give a quick update. Last weekend, my wife was out of town. She went to Minneapolis? Where's St. Louis, Missouri? What the heck am I thinking?
This week they're getting divorced.
Oh, jeez. Well, she went to a Joyce Myers conference there, and she was actually staying. It was 6 miles down the road from the vice presidential debate.
Oh,
so, wow. They had to deal with that traffic and the traffic from the Joyce Myers thing. It was crazy. But while she was gone, I took a day, and I went and I totally redid the website. So it's got chat, it's got all kinds of cool stuff.
It looks really good.
Well, thank you.
It looks really good.
And it took a while. Jordan, I'd call Jordan. Jordan would say, change this, because it's hard to look at stuff that you've just built and actually see the faults or see the problems. So I think it's been pounded pretty well, and I think and I'm going to say this, and it's going to fall down before the end of the show. But I think it's going to work better than the one did before. So if you want to go online and chat with Jordan and I, it's whispersradio.com. You'll see the chat at the top, and just join us there, and you can ask questions for our guest, and we'll
actually
ask her on the air.
Our guest is online or on the chat room right now.
Is she?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Okay, somebody cool. Say hi to Heidi Hollis. I'm not exactly all the way there yet. So, we'll see. Maybe she'll have a question for herself. What do you want us to ask you?
We also
You're not writing that in there, are you?
I will not. I'm sorry.
Well, no, go ahead.
Okay, well, fine, I will. Jeez. Go ahead, Jordan. I'm sorry.
We got a little surprise today, don't we?
Yeah, I was sitting at the house, watching some Frasier, and the knock came to the door, and I got something in the mail. So, Jordan, you talk, I'll walk it over.
Okay, well, last week we had Patrick Heron from Dublin, Ireland, and his book, The Nephilim and the Pyramid of the Apocalypse. The day after the show, he mailed out a signed copy for Lola.
Cool.
He sure did. Oh, this is wonderful. Oh, I'll have to write him a thank you note.
If you notice at the top there, on all of ours, he's written us a little Irish phrase, which I have no idea what it means.
No,
so
I don't either. But...
when I get home, I'm going to email him and ask him, what's that mean? It's probably...
What's it say?
Or do you know Irish?
SOLI, capital DEO, capital... I think it's something...
Gaelic or...
It might be, and then Gloria.
I mean,
Could be Latin.
Yeah.
my extent right now is I don't know, using Irish Spring body wash.
Oh my gosh! Oh, that's good.
Why did you even ask him? It was.
No, it's
We knew this was going to happen.
just focus there. Focus,
Yeah.
Jordan.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Oh,
So
this
Jordan's
is
is sitting
great.
at my house too, and I'm going to sell it on eBay. So if you want to go look up my name on eBay, Jordan's is going for a good $100 right now. So
Easy.
I'll make the first bid on that.
so Jordan will not have a book when he gets back. It's ending tomorrow, so we got to rush this out the door. So I had this story I was looking at earlier, and I think it's relevant. I don't know how everybody's going to react to it.
Well, you know how I
could
react
be
to it.
true.
It is 100% true.
it
What are you
could
talking
be.
about?
With a name like this. All right, presidential hopefuls are actually snakes. Now, you could look at that, and being an English major, that could be a metaphor. They're
Wait.
actually snakes. But
There's got to be a disclaimer on this first, because if you say his name too fast, it's going to come off as a curse word, and where you get the button. So don't say
I
John
was-
McCain.
No, not John McCain.
No, the so-called expert of this.
yeah, I'll say it slowly,
Say it
or look at
slowly.
you and
Oh
I'll
yes,
point.
say it very slowly.
I would never do that. Just have the mute button ready. All right. Finally, there's proof that politicians are snakes, literally. Many people have a hard time trusting politicians for their slimy, slithering ways. And now, reincarnation expert Fu Walk Yay, and you can say that fast for
There you
yourself
go.
if you want to get a little snicker, says there's a reason why. According to Ye, and I'm hoping I'm saying that right, it might be Yi, presidential candidates Barack Obama and John McCain are actually part of a non-human species called reptilians, who are hell-bent on world domination.
Absolutely.
Paulson must be their leader.
He could be. Reptilians are able to morph their scaly bodies into human form, and making it hard to tell who's one of these evil creatures. However, the proof is in the peepers. Yi explains, watch the eyes. When they do close-up of the candidates on TV, you can see they have snake eyes. You can't really see on Obama because his eyes are dark, but McCain's are extremely snake-like. And he actually does have that little kind of those smaller eyes, but
Yeah.
Are they reptilian? I don't know. If you go on YouTube actually and look up reptilian videos,
Yeah, you can find videos of them.
and they have videos of people like there was some guy on MSNBC, some reporter, and they had like the close up of the eyes, and it just kept on going. This movie kind of effect of like it's like this far out, and my hands are
Yeah.
and then they kept getting closer and closer to the eyes, and supposedly his eyes are going like I don't know, like a snake would.
Yes, you guys scare me. That you actually know that there's videos of this stuff out
Not
there.
only that, I know the person that started the research of this. His name is David Icke, and if David Icke is listening, because I know he does.
Does he own the Icky Bond restaurant?
I don't know. He used to
Yeah.
actually be a soccer star in the United Kingdom, and all of a sudden he started going on TV and talking about the reptilian race that was taking over the world. They thought he was trying to say that he was anti-Jewish, but no, he really believes that they're actually reptiles. They tried to say he was, Anti-Defamation League tried to take him out, and then realized no, he's just crazy.
But
If
it's
you've
just-
ever watched the debates themselves, and if you look closely at John McCain, there are points where he just flicks his tongue out there for no
yeah,
reason.
yeah.
Oh.
That's how he senses fear in Obama.
He smells
And
the
Tom
air.
Brokaw. Tom Brokaw started yelling about the lights last night, and he's like flicking his he's
I don't know.
getting
It
scared.
could be because he's old and his tongue's just falling out of his mouth.
Yeah, that's probably most
Wow,
of it.
you had to go there.
The next line of this is the best part. This is what actually proves that this is true.
Well, go ahead and read it.
Another indication of reptilianism in the candidates is that their mugs, meaning their heads, their faces, start looking like alligators when their faces get tired. They start looking like alligators when their faces look like alligators when they're tired. Is
So
what
when
this
you're
guy's saying.
when you're doing the drinking game during the next debate, you can also add this game in. Let's see how many times we see snake eyes.
So pay attention for those alligators on TV. It's really John McCain and Barack Obama.
Can we include Ralph Nader in this? Anybody want to include Ralph Nader?
Might as well.
Bush, show of hands. Who thinks Bush is a reptile? Come on.
Bush is more than a reptile.
What else is he?
He's T-Rex.
T-Rex. Wow. You actually had to go there.
Yes, I did. All right.
We're going to take a break, Jordan, so I'm just going to put you on hold, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
All righty.
Bye, Jordan.
He's not by. He's just snoozing now.
He doesn't realize what
and
we're
I've got to
gonna
show
do.
you something that's
really?
going crazy on my screen here. So
that's probably
we're going to take a quick break.
Probably the reptiles.
Yeah.
So we need to come up and look at it.
Attention kids of all ages from 1 to 101. Want to see Darth Vader and R2-D2? What about Spider-Man? Or how about a pirate that's traveled the 7 seas, or a NASA-trained and certified astronaut? Kobe Bryant and Dirk Nowitzki are there too. And where can you see all this and more? At the Toy and Plastic Brick Museum on Noble Street in the all-American town of Blair, Ohio. Dan Brown and the folks at the Toy and Plastic Brick Museum are now listed in the Guinness Book of World Records, last year for the largest Lego image ever, and this year for the world's largest castle made entirely of Lego building blocks. Located at 4597 Noble Street in Blair, Ohio, in the old Gravel Hill School, the museum is open Wednesday through Sunday from 12 to 5 p.m. and Saturday from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. And there's entertainment daily. A band made entirely of Lego blocks, the Lego 3, perform for everyone. School groups and kids clubs want to take a road trip? Give them a call at 740-671-8890 for group rates. So, for 36,000 square feet of Lego fun, head over to the all-American town of Blair, Ohio, and visit the Toy and Plastic Brick Museum at 4597 Noble Street. Oh, and while you're there, don't forget the new space room's open now, too.
Copyrighted images created under license by Lego Group.
Downtown Wheeling. Give us a call, 304-214-1600. Toll free, 866-514-1600.
Well, Jordan, we forgot one thing real quick. The reptilian guy says it's the last election ever, so
Get your good one.
The dolphin people are going to come and eat up all the snakes, and we're done with it all.
This is all we have to choose from. This is going to be the last election.
This is the last one.
So make your vote count.
Yep. Yes. All right, Jordan, you want to go ahead and read the thing for the
Introduce our guest.
All right, tonight we have Heidi Hollis. Heidi is the founder and director of the UFO and paranormal discussion group UFO to You. She was the co-star of Discovery Channel's program called X-Ops. She was also the co-host of the syndicated radiocast and webcast program Set Lab Chat, study of extraterrestrial life and answers from beyond. Heidi is the author of The Secret War, The Heavens Speak of the Battle, and JINJ, Jesus is No Joke. She has a Bachelor of Science degree and is certified occupational therapist, registered and licensed, and is an accomplished comic strip and 3D artist. Heidi, are you with us?
So far.
She's going to run very soon.
Yes. Wow. If you were listening to the beginning of the show, you just may.
Oh, my goodness.
Know what you're getting into first. That's
Oh, it's great to be on your show. Thanks for having me on here.
Glad to have you here.
Thank you very much. Now, Heidi, you're more known for speaking on topics like aliens, UFOs, and you're especially shadow people and the Hat Man. Mm-hmm. But now you've written a book on your personal encounters with Jesus called Jesus is No Joke, and that's a true story of an unlikely witness who saw Jesus. Why did you approach this topic, and how difficult was it for you, knowing how different this was, a topic from your usual research?
Well, yeah, I do cover a lot of mysterious topics, like the list you just read off there, and mysteries are my thing, and more on the spooky side usually. So I was pretty, open to that sort of thing, and in writing my first book, The Secret War, based on shadow people and aliens, I had, seen and researched so many odd things myself that I felt that if Jesus were around, I would have seen him by now, and I put it in the book. So I was a huge skeptic when it came to claims of people haven't seen Jesus. I mean, it was like in their bowl of soup to a tree trunk, and I was like, this is ridiculous, you know. But thank goodness I had a change of heart before I put that book out, because I had my first encounter, and it was, you know, a lot of people are like, you know, well, how did you, you know, even take that leap of faith to go from the spooky stuff to the Jesus stuff? And it's like, you know, I didn't even second guess it. You know, I wanted to do what my heart was telling me to do, and it's like I've been made fun of for stranger things. You know, I could really care less what people think. You know, so I took the leap, and it was no problem for me. So yeah, but I knew I'd be met with people going, you know, what's the deal? You know, this lady going on aliens, shadow people, demons, all this stuff, and now Jesus, what kind of nutcase and cult is she part of? You know, but I could care less, really.
So you claim that you were visited by Jesus. How common, because you talked about other people coming forward and saying, you know, you heard these Jesus stories before. How common is this, maybe compared with maybe something like a UFO visitation or an abduction? Is it like a 1 in 5,000 people kind of thing, or is it way more uncommon than that?
Well, you know what? This is a newer topic for me to be taken on right now. So I do tend to get a lot more reports about shadow people and aliens sent to me in particular. But it's always surprising to me when I do go to, you know, share that I've, you know, written a book on this, or I've experienced that with, you know, with Jesus, how many people will pull me aside and go, you know, I had a very real dream of him too, you know, and it's like this in the closet thing. Like, people are coming to me about having these visions and dreams of Jesus, and they don't know how to approach it and share it, you know, on a wider scale. I'm finding it to be quite common. I was at a UFO conference earlier this year, and you know, I had spoken at this conference before, and my new book, you know, being called Jesus is No Joke, I wasn't going to even impose the idea to speak about Jesus at a UFO conference.
Right.
Yeah.
And it was odd because I had, like, you know, six people or so come up to me and ask me, you know, it was about a dozen people that asked me if I was going to speak at the conference, and I explained to them, no, this is a UFO conference. I got a Jesus book, and they're all like, well, then you really got to get up there and talk. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. So, and then I had 6 people pull me aside or so, sharing their own personal encounters, you know, and I was like, okay, that's it. You know, I guess I'm going to see if they have a slot. I'll go up there and talk a little bit about the Jesus topic, and it was really well received. I was really surprised.
So their visitation stories were actually a little bit of motivation for you to get out there?
Yeah,
wow.
There are quite a few people out there that really surprised me.
Wow.
So.
Now, what exactly, when was your first experience, and can you give us a description of what exactly took place? You know, what did Jesus look like? What was he wearing? John wanted to know that this morning when I talked to him. So he's like, well, what did Jesus wear? I don't know why it was so important to him, but he's got
a clothes thing.
Yeah, he had Abercrombie and Fitch on. Yeah,
he was describing his Nike slippers. He was wondering, you know. So.
One of those folks.
Yes, he is. Unfortunately, we work with him.
He's the guy that runs the station. So.
Yeah.
Kind of weird.
Oh, gosh. Well, you know, the first encounter happened for me, it was July 19th, 1999, and I had worked an early shift, and usually when I work at the crack of dawn it was like 6 to noon, I would come home, take a nap, and I had a college roommate, and I just like told her, you know, turn your TV down, I'm going to go take my usual snooze, and I went into my bedroom, and I kid you not, I just, you know, laid down on my bed, and it was as if I fell through my bed. And I mean, like, you know, you lay in bed, you kind of get comfortable, and then you'll doze off. I had just laid down, and there was such a drastic change. I was like, where the heck am I? You know, what just happened here? You know, and I'm looking around, and I'm like trying to make sense. You know, I'm a pretty rational person, you know, and I'm just like, okay, the scenery that I saw looked very similar to my parents' home. And I'm like, okay, somehow I ended up near my parents' home, and I just don't remember getting here, you know, how I got here or anything. And I saw this man walking toward me, and he looked from a distance. He looked like a family friend whose name is Quincy. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I was going to meet Quincy here at one point, and I'm just like trying to figure out what's going on. And as he got a little bit closer, I mean, it didn't take much for me to realize that was no Quincy. And I'm a pretty silly person, and when he started getting closer to me, I put my face in my hands like, this is just not happening. This just can't be who I think it is. And he came up to me and he said hello, and very, very friendly, as if he's going to talk about the weather in the next sentence or something. And I'm like, hello, I got my face in my hands, and he said, do you know who I am? And he said, if you knew who I was, you would not hesitate to say it. And I'm like, oh, he's going to make me say it. So I was like, took my hands from my face and went to look up at him, and I was stuttering, and I said, well, you're Jesus. I don't speak Spanish. And when I looked up at him, here's this man, very much like how he's been depicted in so many artist renditions. He had a long, flowing white robe. Tell your friend to go get one of those if he's all into fashion. And he had shoulder-length hair. He was a little darker skinned than what I have seen in some of the paintings in the past. And there was a very bright light from behind him that shadowed his face, so I did not see his face. And I was just enamored. I just couldn't believe, wow, this is him, and he started talking to me about his life and what he was aiming to do, how so much needed to be done, and I'm listening to him, and I'm still like myself. It's just as if, I just walked in and met up with him, and I'm like, oh my gosh, is this really happening? I'm looking around, I'm like, God, why is the ground so close to me? And I'm like exclaiming in my head, I'm like, I'm on my knees. I don't even remember going on my knees. And as if he heard me talking in my head, not paying attention, he stopped speaking. And I looked up at him, and I'm stuttering again, and I'm like, well, what do you want me to do, And he said, first you need to show us some things. And he asked me to finish my book, which was The Secret War. And he said, don't be discouraged by what others say. Know that I'll be there to give you the words. And he went on to talk about other things that I knew I would not be able to recall. And to kind of shorten what took place, I mean, all of a sudden, I'm like going back into my body. And it's funny, one thing to note, though, the feeling that came off from him, it was like G-force love waves. Like I can't even describe it. It was just off the chains, and I just it was a feeling that just like tickled you from the inside out. I guess that's the best way to put it. And so when all of a sudden I'm going back into my body, and I'm like on my bed, and I'm like, I didn't want to move because I'm like, that feeling was still there. But then as it started to fade away, I thought, I'm gonna knock on my wall and get my roommate's attention to come in, so I can tell her what happened. And when I went to do that, I felt like another presence, and this was just so. I felt like I was robbed of my movement all of a sudden, and boom, I was put into another scenario, and I was like, oh my God, where am I this time? And I mean, this is not typical Heidi stuff, okay? That's just so you guys know. And I'm just like, okay, this looks like I'm by my parents' home again, but this is a really shabby rendition. And this demonic, creature comes up to me. And it had, it wore the face of a family member of mine with solid black eyes, though.
Well, we all have family members like that.
Oh, gosh, disown them. But just to kind of wrap up what happened the first time, though, this thing said, "Are you?" It spoke like a snake. It was strange. It said, "Are you sure of what you saw?" And I was like, "What?" I'm like, "Who are you?" And he said, "Are you sure it wasn't Quincy you saw? Because that's the person I first thought it was." And I'm like, "Look, I don't know who you are or what you're trying to pull here, but, I know what I saw and who I saw." and I started to say Jesus, and this thing looked like it wanted to lunge for my throat. And make a long story short, it went to like another creature came up like it was going to stab me, and boom, I was pulled out of the situation, popped back in my bed, and I'm like knocking on the wall trying to get my roommate's attention. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't want to slip into anything else, and that was my first encounter. I mean, I don't have such things, go on like that. I mean, it was just so like, I tell people, they're like, how can you know for sure that it was Jesus you saw? I mean, this was just a dream. And I'm like, whole chapters in the Bible have been written on dreams. But I tell people I could have been blind and seen it was him, because it was like every cell in my body recognized who this was. And,
wow.
I've always questioned, too, how could people know that it's Jesus that they saw? It's like, well, it's this something in you that just recognizes who he is, and that was my first encounter.
Heidi, were you particularly religious before this happened?
Heck no.
Okay, now I have to ask you this: why do you think he appeared to you?
Well, I think he is all knowing, and I think he knew what I would do with this, having seen him. First off, because I think, I don't know, it's like I like to relate stories as a friend to anybody who wants to hear it, and it's like so many people, they report having seen such things, and like I steered away from church things because I didn't feel I was finding all the answers there, and people were talking over my head. I couldn't grasp what they're always meaning and what they were saying, and it was just so, I don't know, ancient sounding to me. And I think he knew what I would do with it and relate to people, the outright reality of his existence, because that's my whole thing in sharing this story, because it's not what he told me. It's not what he did or what he asked me to do. It's just the outright reality of his existence, and that just still shakes my foundation, because I believed in God. I was raised, to go to church and everything, but I hadn't, I wasn't going to church. I wasn't a Bible thumper. I did none of those things, and but I was open to him. I prayed, but I didn't understand the full capacity of what it meant to realize that, he's just not some ancient story, that he's abound. He's around.
And it's you are so refreshing about this whole, you can laugh about it, and because personally I figured, you're going to be a Bible thumper and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And this is just such a different take on it all that it makes me really, I believe what you're saying,
Cool.
while if it's somebody else that's like preaching, so I can understand why he would go then to somebody like you, because you're not.
Yeah, it's an unexpected source.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, because that's been my whole goal. It's just to be who I am, for crying out loud, and I wrote the book very much like that too, because I'm not a preacher. I'm not a person of authority on this. I'm just somebody that had their world shaken, and so appreciative. And another thing that people don't realize, I had an outright terrible, and still comes up from time to time, issue with stage fright. I could not have done anything that I've done in the area of paranormal anything had I not had this initial encounter with him, because he told me, don't be discouraged by what other people say, know that I'll give you the word. So just before I go on stage, instead of running out the back door screaming because I don't want to talk, I'd look up to the ceiling and I'm like, you said you'd give me the words, now I'm holding you to it, So, even before I came on this show, I did the same thing. I'm like, all right.
If one thing, we know he's a man of his word, right?
Yeah.
I got a question. This is actually from our chat room. A guy asked, what caused you to go away from formal religion, and do you think that Jesus came to bring you back and have those experiences made you more religious these days?
I'll tell you the honest story that happened to me as a kid. Myself and my sister, we would have, these little, like, I don't know, cookies, I guess you could say, dropped in our heads that were kind of a little bit like psychic, I guess you could say, and we didn't know what to think of it. And I was a kid and about to be confirmed to my church, and I thought, I want to talk to my Sunday school teacher who was also a pastor. And I'm like, what do you think about people that can see things that other people can't see or know things other people can't see? And he told me, well, only God knows the future and only the devil would tell it. And I'm like, whoa, he's saying I'm evil. I'm like, here I'm a 13-year-old. I'm like, I told my sister, I'm like, whoa, they apparently don't have all the answers in the church. So I started kind of, leaning away from it because of that. So, but I mean, I kept my faith in God. Dare I say, I'm not a churchgoer now. Still, I'm very spiritual. I'm very much Christian. I'm very much devoted in that sense. But I don't think. And I totally understand people's passion for going to church. People need that sense of community. It's all good, I'm just fine where I'm at, and I've been very content with it.
Now I've got a question about you said that he said he'd give you the words. Now you equate that to going on stage, but did he also help in the research of your books, the direction even? Because the reason I called you is I've heard you talk several times on Coast to Coast AM, and I love every time you've been on. It was great, cool. And so that's why I called you when I saw this. And I had that initial reaction, like, well, what is she? This is kind of a different direction, but which I've enjoyed so far. Everything I've read about it. So,
cool.
How did this influence your other works?
You know what? It's been my backbone for everything, honestly, because it brought such clarity for me personally, and I think it's kind of shown through in sharing about the paranormal, and UFOs and shadow people and everything. So it's, I think it's been a positive, nothing but positive for me and others, I think. So I don't know if there's more in depth that you wanted to know.
Well, I mean, did it help in perhaps in guiding perhaps your research in certain ways?
Oh yeah, with the Jesus book. You know what? It's so funny. When I sat down to start writing that book, I didn't have a certain outline or anything. I was just like, okay, let's see where this goes. And even, I mean, if you ever would pick up a book, you'd see that I'm like, now why'd I name that this chapter this? I don't know why I'm doing this, why I'm doing it, but I'm going to write it. And I totally went on what I felt was right to put in there. And so yeah, I felt it was a guided book. And it's funny, even my own parents, they read the book and they're like, they read the first book, about aliens and all. It's like, oh God. So, and when they read the Jesus book, it was like, you didn't write this? This was inspired. I'm like, well, good. So it was something else.
Heidi, I got another question. You said you actually have been taken to hell as well, right?
Yeah, that was something else.
I think so.
Yeah,
it's a little bit different.
Just a tad, I had seen hell. This is strange. I've had what I call like waking dreams, nothing compared to the Jesus thing. That was something totally different. I had a waking dream, I guess you could say, where I woke up as a resident in hell, and it was really different. I'm like, okay, I see, something nothing that I had personally accepted to even be real, And I saw people that were kind of in these muddied rooms that had bars on it and everything, and it was really strange for me. But one of my encounters that I had with Jesus, I was met with him, and he guided me to this I was just so you know, I was like kind of looking for relaxation. I was trying to do this hypnosis thing, and boom, you know, I'm seeing this Jesus fella again, and I did see him twice physically, by the way. I just had two that were, you know, more vision-like, and I was brought down into this muddied tunnel, and he was guiding me, and I couldn't see in front of me. Where is he taking me? And he came to this door, and he crouched down as if to let me look past, you know, this opening that was at the end of this tunnel, and I saw what was familiar from this so-called dream that I had of this hell-like place. And I mean, literally, there was like a bridge made of like stone going over to this platform that had, you know, they say the gates of hell, and I'm like, yeah, right. Well, I saw gates. And I was like, whoa. I'm like, I looked over, and he looked at me as if, you know, an invitation to go on a tour of hell. And, you know, dream or not, that was an impact enough for me before, and I said, no, thank you. I remember this place just fine. And it was like an acknowledgement, and he led me out of there, and it was as if to say what I'm working toward is to help people avoid this place. Now, another thing is important to note, though, I get many, many, many letters and people that come to me and suddenly share their hell experiences. They're
Really?
having these very vivid dreams of waking up in hell. They go to bed, they wake up there in hell, and it's a phenomenon that's it's really disturbing, and it happens so much more than I would have ever suspected. So.
And now, is there any, when you talk to these people, are there any similarities, or do they seem to be telling the same exact story to some extent?
Yes, there's a consistency. People wake up in these small cages, bent over, crowded, naked usually, with these creatures pacing back and forth, and they speak of muddied rooms, the smell of sulfur. They speak of cages, jail-like cells, and some have reported heat, but not as much. But I mean, it's just, you know, and they'll tell me, you know, in private, you know, it's just the most bizarre thing. I mean, I don't know. It's, you know, it's like I could be, you know, hanging out with people, and they don't all realize what it is that I do, and then it's like, you know, I get up to go get something to drink, and it's just like, you know, I woke up in hell once. I'm like, what? Oh my God.
I got a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
How in the world do you go to sleep at night anymore? Yeah. I would be scared to death to shut my eyes. It'd be like Nightmare on Elm Street for me. I'd be, especially with all the demonic stuff too. Jesus doesn't scare me so much, but
you know, it's so funny because I have such confidence and no doubts about God and Jesus protecting me. I mean, and when I'm met with things that should not be in my home, it's strange. It's like I feel like a brick wall. Like there's just no getting past me.
Even the first time, though, when you weren't really that much of a believer, so to say.
You know, I was scared out of my mind with a lot of things because I saw a lot of things growing up that shouldn't be there. It kind of runs in the family, I guess you could say, and being able to see certain shadow people and creatures and ghosts, and I did not appreciate it at all. So it was not cool, and I just wanted to get some answers for it. But yeah, I mean, I was able to protect myself, but then I would have like these. I mean, why I call my first book The Secret War is because I would have these like, you know, shadow people and alien things coming in my apartment, you know, and I had a roommate, and I'd be like, wake up, take a look at that, you know. I wasn't sitting there by myself, and these balls of light would come in and attack the aliens and the shadow people and send them on their way, and I'm like, am I looking at a mini war going on in my living room, you know? Wow. So they were good and bad, so I was being protected in some sense. I just didn't understand it all.
Now, you said they protect you to some extent. You were actually healed of an incurable disorder. Is that correct?
Yeah. I had an encounter with Jesus that I was just absolutely floored. I woke up because I could feel his presence in my room, and I was like, oh my gosh, he's here again. And I looked around my room. I didn't see him. I saw what looked like sunshine coming through the wall and hitting my feet at the foot of my bed. And I'm like, I feel him, but I could not see him directly. And I saw these trickles of light like breaking off and going up my legs and started spinning around in my stomach area. And I'm propped up on my elbows and I'm watching this. I'm like, wow. And when it hit my stomach, like, his presence is so overwhelming. I can't even describe. It's like love. That's just it, And it was so overwhelming. It you know how when you swing on a hammock and the wind blows you and you could flip upside down? Mm-hmm. That's exactly what it felt like. And boom, I was swooped upside down, and I'm looking at my body. I'm like, whoa, I'm out, And I'm watching this going on, and I'm like, well, where is he? I don't see him, but I could feel him. Like, how come he's not speaking? What is he doing? And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, is he healing me? And I'm like, and the thought passed my head. I'm like, no, he wouldn't do that. And the second I thought that, slam, I went back into my body. I'm propped myself back up on my elbows. I'm patting myself down, and the light from the wall went away, and the lights that were in my stomach area started to blend in and sink in. And I'm like, well, what was that all about? I could not figure it out. And I kid you not, because, you don't feel like you're worthy or anything like that. But,
right.
Jesus will come and heal you. Yeah, right. And I was like, I went to my doctor, and I found out that they could not see my disorder anymore, my disease. I mean, biopsies and all these things. I mean, This is something that could have eventually killed me. And I had it for 12 years.
And what exactly was it?
It was ulcerative colitis. So it's
no clue what that means.
It could destroy your...
It gets in your lungs, doesn't it?
No.
Oh, I thought it did.
No.
I thought colitis was in your lungs.
Nice try.
It's
No,
intestines and
Shows how
things.
much. Oh, yeah.
It could destroy
all right.
your liver and causes ulcers all over. It's awful.
Oh, wow.
And so I was for like 2 years after this experience had happened, and I was like, gosh, they can't find my disease anymore. This disorder is but I still had the symptoms of it. I couldn't understand. I still had the symptoms of the disease, but it's gone. And it took until I went to one of my meetings, and somebody came there talking about wanting to be healed by aliens. And somebody in my group said, well, didn't you know only Jesus heals? And I could have slapped a dunce cap on my head and called it the day, because the second that I realized, oh, my God, and I said it out loud, I think Jesus healed me when he came. And when I realized it and, accepted it, my symptoms went away.
Oh.
So it was like, until I had faith that he would have done that for me, that's when the healing was complete. Isn't that the strangest thing?
Oh, indeed.
So,
Yeah, but that makes sense. Your mind has to accept. Your mind may have accepted what the doctors told you, but your body hadn't accepted it yet, so it still thought it was sick.
right.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Strange.
Well, Heidi, where can people get your book?
People can go to any bookstore and ask for it by name. Otherwise, online stores, if they don't have it in the bookstore, they can always go to Amazon.com or go to my website, JesusIsNoJoke.com, and I have them on there for sale. Actually, they're $12.95 right now. I just lowered the price because I'm just like, you know what? I just want to put it out there. I don't care.
Right.
So it's like, it's something that's such a passion of mine, and it's like, I just felt like I had to do this. This is something that a step in the direction I had to go in, and I could care less. I mean, I know a lot of people, they're just like, I go on some of these shows, these radio shows, and they're just like, okay, the shadow people lady's going to talk about Jesus. They take a deep breath, I'm just
we like it here. Everything's
cool.
paranormal with us.
Yes.
Awesome. It's just about keeping it real. I mean, I'm not trying to create converts or anything. I'm just saying, this is this phenomena is happening. And another thing that should be noted too, I cover a topic called the Hat Man. I kind of created this name for this man that's showing up all over the world, and people have been writing me. I had a drawing on my website, and people started writing me, and they're like, who is this man? I've seen him. And they answer their own question. They're like, he's the devil, isn't he? Like, they just inertly know that this is the devil, and he is showing up everywhere, just as the sightings of Jesus are going up exponentially. So are the sightings of this devil guy. What's that?
Picture, is it on your website now?
Shadows.ufo and the number 2, the letter U.com. They can look at the drawings up there of the Hat Man.
We'll have to have you back on to talk about him because he's. I've heard you talk about him before, and it's an extremely interesting discussion.
Yeah.
And kind of scary in a way too. So, but been great to have you on, and I'll get back in touch with you here soon. We'll get you back on as soon as we can. Is that okay?
Oh, I would love it. You guys are a lot of fun.
Thanks. Thank you very much for joining us, Holly.
Great
Thanks,
night.
Heidi.
You too. Bye-bye.
Wow, that was...
That's a cool story.
Yeah, it was. Definitely.
I admit, I did. I was honest with her. I thought we were going to get somebody that was kind of Bible thumping and this kind of thing. I'm starting to sound like Sarah Palin, but and then when she started talking, it's like, wow, do we have the right guest here?
Right.
Because she is so down to earth and so unbelieving herself. You know, she still has that sense of awe and wonderment about it, instead of some of these people that claim to have these, visits and they're like, I completely deserved it, and that kind of thing. I thought she was great.
Yeah, she was awesome. I know it was a discussion after we left last week of having 2 religious shows right in a row, but this was an awesome topic, and we definitely kept it paranormal as far as...
Oh, yeah, because really, aside from the name Jesus being
there's
used...
really nothing...
Yeah, it wasn't preachy.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Now, see, what I wish I would have asked her, and I kind of forgot, and I might email her later. She said that the demon that came up, the demonic force, had the face of her... Was it family member?
Yeah, relative.
Well, what did the body look like?
Yeah.
She said from a distance. I mean, because he did have. She said, like the robe kind of. So it'd probably harder to see what exactly he looked like underneath. I mean, those are usually kind of flowing kind of things. So would be interesting.
Right.
Looks like she's still in our. She's still in our. She's still in our chat room. So you could probably maybe ask her there.
Whatever I clicked on my computer, it froze up the chat room on it. Because Jordan started reading something from the chat room, and I'm thinking, I can't say anything, but that you won't believe what I did, Jordan. So I'll have to tell you later. I had things flashing all about the screen.
We got to go fix the computer.
Yeah.
So.
If John hears me say it's broken, I don't think
it's fine. It's not broken. So. But now. How many times have you actually heard somebody, tell this kind of a story? Lola, you've
like
been,
that? Never.
Yeah, you never?
Not like that.
Well,
no.
like the other way. You say you're expecting that.
I have family that is they're evangelical, to say the least. And yes, they've all been either visited by the Holy Ghost or they've spoken in tongues and all that kind of stuff. And that's what I expected,
Yeah.
Because
that's my religion.
And Jordan's church is a lively church.
Is it?
Yeah.
Tell me there's no politicians.
Yeah,
the snake thing is
there's no snake people there. I don't think any reptilians.
I notice on the outline. Who typed up this outline?
Jordan did.
Jordan. I love your closing number 6.
Number 6.
No, wait a minute. Where is that?
Yeah.
Somewhere you have on your laugh.
Oh, number 3.
Oh, number 3. Laugh about crazy people.
Meaning
a reptilian guy.
That was pretty funny.
Who also...
Crazy people are fun to laugh about, Throw a couple in. Now speaking, since we had, the Jesus sighting, I'm open for any of you Catholics out there that have found Mother Mary in a piece of toast or on the side of a wall in a water stain.
My favorite's chicken nugget.
or if she speaks to you through chicken nuggets, I would love to have you on the show.
Email a picture to us.
Y'all be careful. We're all going to hell. Yeah, that I'm telling you, she's really interesting. Now, everybody keeps talking to kind of change the subject, although not really, about the shadow people. Now, I'll have to remember, I am new to all of this stuff. And I really have no idea. Eric, you're sitting there shaking
don't
your
feel
head.
bad because I'm not too up to date on the shadow people either.
Shadow people,
I know dark spirits, but I don't know the difference between dark spirits and shadow people.
An example of this, we had a person email us actually on MySpace talking about his wife was seeing shadows. These people, and when you think of a shadow, you think of this
just
all in black, kind of the silhouette thing. And some people say they see them out of the corner of their eyes.
Right.
Or I've even heard, and I think if you go to her website, which we have all the links up on ours, whispers100808.mp3, and I think it's shadows, UFO to you.com. She has pictures, people's renditions of this, and they're just silhouettes. Some people see animals, and there's different ideas of what they are. Are they in another dimension? Are they ghosts? Are they, evil spirits? I mean, obviously, the Hat Man, she said, was the devil. People always answer that question for themselves. So I'm actually just talked to her here. I'm going to have her back on probably in the new year because the big amateur mistake of booking myself all the way through December. So I'm learning people. So.
And you're doing a great job. I mean,
I'm trying to get some interesting people. And Heidi Hollis, I've always listened to her on Coast to Coast AM, and I love Heidi Hollis. She's an easy person to talk to, and she always seemed like she would be. And she was one of the first people, they say, hey, you get a show, and, I have this, short list of people, and then I had to go start looking for people, and she was on the short list.
Well, I'll tell you.
She made the short list. Now, shadow people are also what's at the pen. I don't know if you've seen the famous photograph from the penitentiary.
Well, she will in November, because we're going to the pen. So
Lola just might have her first paranormal experience.
I am
all
hoping.
by herself because we're leaving her there while we run.
Thanks.
That's the first rule: no running.
Yeah,
first rule is no running. We'll be fine. I hope. Jordan, just don't run.
Oh my.
So next week on the show we have, and I remember Todd was really interested about this. Kathleen Marden. She's the niece of Betty Hill of the Betty and Barney Hill abduction case.
Yeah.
She's going to be really interesting. She's was one of the first people to hear about the incident. She has all of Betty's notes from it. Thoroughly researched it. She co-wrote a book with past guest of ours, Stanton Friedman. He just has his hand in everything.
Stop and think about what kind of guests Nick has lined up.
Yeah, Stanton Friedman's a huge name in the
all these.
I have no idea why these people even talk to me. I wouldn't talk to me. Jordan doesn't even talk to me except for when we're on.
I don't
you
like
guys are
talking to me.
related. That's why.
I don't know why any of the I feel like to some degree that we've been blessed. I mean, Jordan and I fall into stuff. We really do. 3 or 4 years ago,
fall into a good syndication so we can all get paid.
I'm working on it. We actually are being syndicated online now through a Black Vault radio network.
I know. I was telling everybody this morning here in the office.
So it's really exciting to join up with them. They're 30-some different shows that they help distribute through the internet. So now we're going to have a lot more listeners, hopefully. So
wow.
Awesome. It's going to be fun. It'll be good times.
It'll be always good times.
That's right. It'll be legend. Wait for it.
Harry.
Yeah.
All right, gang. It is time. Jordan, please.
Yes, ma'am.
I know you've been up. It's been a long and hard day. So, go have a beer and then try. I'm serious, and try and relax. Because you're going to have a long day tomorrow,
We don't want Jordan drinking.
Well, he's in the hotel. He'll be okay.
He's an angry drunk, I'm guessing.
Oh, are you Jordan?
How can you even speculate?
Did you ever imagine me angry?
No, I can't. I can't.
I imagine Jordan's the type of person that doesn't shut up.
He's probably one of those just keeps talking and talking.
All right, then go have a beer. Find that bathroom at the medical center. And
give us all a call.
Go make a new friend, right?
Only wingtips, my dear. Only wingtips. Listen, give your dad our best, even though
absolutely,
he's still out cold. But I'm sure everything will be fine. But call me later in the week. I meant that email. Okay.
Well, thank you, man.
All right.
We'll definitely do that.
Okay.
I'll talk to you later, Jordan.
All right.
It's
That's
kind of
it.
sad not having you in here. I keep looking over
I
like
know.
this, and I'm like, hey, there's Eric, and Eric's sitting in the big boy seat today.
About
So
50 pounds
That's
later.
what I asked.
And
you
he
too.
actually talked
You
more
sitting
being
the
in
big
that
boy's
seat.
chair?
I had more opportunity, man. Last week was too interesting to talk. So
Well, this week was too interesting to talk. Wow,
yeah, but I
listen
had
to
more
you.
responsibility
No, you had
this
good-
week.
Good
Yeah.
questions. You had good
Yeah, I had
questions.
questions.
Yeah, I'm just playing with you, Eric. I'm so sorry.
All right, well, listen, Jordan, you
jerk.
take it easy and be safe coming home, okay?
Night,
care,
and,
Jordan.
thank you for listening to Whispers on WKKX. And until next week, friends, don't be afraid, only believe.